Oh my god, imagine actually having this gear like 1 week into the season. Let's find out how we did it. So this video is going to be obviously through the lens of a melee character, more specifically a warrior, as that's what I am, but this will be pertinent to literally every single class that's engaging with the new gearing system in any sort of meaningful manner. So if we're sort of taking it a little bit seriously and trying to go, okay, what upgrades do I want to use? How do I get my best in slot? Where is it appropriate to use all my crests in what locations, right? The most bare bones structure, which I have run over on my Fury guide, self promotion, I guess, whatever the word is, shameless plug mode. Up in the top right, you'll see the little annotation thing for the Fury Warrior guide. Feel free to check that out, obviously, if that's relevant to you if you play a warrior or you're looking to have one as an ult or anything. But in the meantime, across, again, the broad spectrum of all the classes, typically always go for your weapons and trinkets first. Secondary stats play a big portion of your damage output. Then by all means, rings are even a decent option. Then go for your tier pieces and then off pieces from there. So typically though, your most bang for your buck in initial gearing up is weapons and trinkets. That's pretty common across pretty much all classes at that point. So while we're using that though, the most valuable currency that we have in Season 2 is 110% without a doubt the Worm Crest. These are your limiting factor behind everything that you're going to be upgrading. And this is kind of where we hit our wall every week. And yeah, it makes it literally the most important commodity that we can get. So let's talk about why. So you will notice that obviously our cap increases by 150 fragments per week. And most importantly, that reflects 10 crests that we can get every single week, right? So I imagine this might get tweaked for the next season. However, you will notice number one, the Whelpling and Drakes did have the extra week being available from when the season first, prior to the season actual launching, but when 10.1 actually dropped. So we get an extra 150 fragments to work with these two. These come from absolutely everywhere. You're never really going to notice this too much. The Worm Crest and Aspect Crest are obviously the heroic and then mythic version of raiding, and then their respective mythic plus levels when it comes to the actual gearing in PvE sources that aren't open world. And open world is very hard limited to just the Drake and the Whelpling section anyway. So with that in mind, you'd imagine that the Aspect Crest being the highest item upgrade path will be sort of very prominent in terms of the rarity as well as how important they might be. But you'll notice in all the tracks at the top end, so champion and hero, every single piece of gear you're going to be upgrading requires 4 Worm Crests to every 1 Aspect Crest. We're not talking about gearing through the crafting system or any embellishment pieces, stuff like that. Just strictly from the upgrades alone, for every single champion piece, it's 4 Worm Crests, and then every single hero piece, it's still 4 Worm Crests, and then 1 Aspect Crest. So as you can imagine, from the worm perspective, you need 56 total crests to get every single slot completely maxed out. Whereas from the aspect side of things, you only need 14. There's literally 14 slots. So that's why the trinkets hold the item slot for 13 and 14, right? 14 slots, you're done literally within 1 week. You'll have all the crests you could possibly need. And we're already 1 week deep anyway. In fact, we're actually 2 weeks deep, which also means that we have more than enough Aspect Crests to upgrade every single slot, as well as get our 2 embellishment pieces at 447. So when you kind of factor that in, you start to realize that each subsequent 2 weeks, if we're crafting another piece, then we'll still only need 4 Aspect Crests out of the 20 total that we've got access to. So you really start to realize there's an absolute abundance in terms of capability of earning the Aspect Crest. Hard locked though on the Worm Crest, and thankfully though there is a vendor next to the upgrade guy in Loam, so do keep this in mind. You have the Shadow Flame Crest Exchange. He can take your Aspect Crest and devolve them down to Worm Crest, so that will give you an extra source to help bridge some gaps here and there. Take this decision lightly though, for obvious reasons. I mean, you don't want to just completely blow your load, so to speak, and lose all your Aspect Crests. Next week rolls around, you want to craft something, or you've got a couple of items that you want to upgrade to full 5 out of 5. And then suddenly you're like, crap, I need to go run a whole bunch of, 16s and plus again and time them, or not time them. Either way, it's going to take you a decent length of time. So give yourself a bit of a buffer, but you do have that option of then turning around and devolving them to Worm Crest. And most importantly, we're already at the break-even point for Aspect Crests that we can earn more than enough we'll ever need ever again for the entire rest of the season. So with that in mind, Worm Crests, absolutely the most important thing for Season 2 upgrades. So keep that in mind, make the right choice and make an educated choice in terms of which items you're going to be using for those worm crests, right? Because they are exceptionally valuable. You'll get hard stuck purely based on worm crests. So weapons, trinkets, sometimes rings if secondary stats are very good. That's your play and that's your go-to. Hopefully this helped. And again, if you do want to check out the actual Fury Warrior guide specifically, that runs over all the different enchants and everything like that we're going to be running, builds, how they change, given the new 4-piece that we've gotten, by all means, check out the video up on your right there. And I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.